Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Natasha Martinez, and this is the daily show where we give you all the latest news in the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Joining us today is Kristian Harloff.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Collider Movie Talk. Thanks for joining us.
Also joining us, Wolfe.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me, guys. Happy to be here.
And for his official title, the Movie Trivia Schmodown Champion, Reilly.
Well, hi.
Look at you.
Well, thank you very much. It's good to be here on the other side of the desk. And yes, Natasha, that is my official title.
What's going on, champ?
How you doing?
All right, let's do it.
Okay, breaking news. In an exclusive report from the Wrap 20th Century Fox will not be showcasing any of their upcoming movie releases in the Hall H presentations at San Diego Comic-Con this year. The studio feels it cannot prevent the piracy of custom trailers and exclusive footage routinely screened for fans in attendance. The studio was reportedly going to show glimpses of Assassin's Creed, the Michael Fassbender video game adaptation that wowed exhibitors at this year's CinemaCon, and an early first look at Hugh Jackman's Wolverine 3. Kristian, thoughts on Fox pulling out of Hall H presentation of Comic-Con?
Comic-Con. They are starting to drop like flies. And even though Disney will be there this year and Marvel will be there this year, they're not going to be there next year. And maybe Fox says, you know what? We weren't there this year and it didn't affect us at all, so we're not going back next year. Comic-Con needs to make some changes, and they need to make some changes fast. Now, whether or not this is all true about just the security thing or the fact they didn't like the way that X-Men Apocalypse was received last year by the fans, and then it indeed was leaked, and they, maybe they just did that for the fans that were there, and then they didn't remember because there's been so much evolution with the look of Apocalypse since that footage last year, so that's why they didn't want it to be shown. So I understand the frustration. You go back to something like D23. And you see what Disney does as far as security goes. You have to step it up. You got to step up the security, but you also have to expand on the convention center in general, make it bigger and make it worthwhile for the studios to be there. And it just seems like week after week after week, we hear something about how Comic-Con is just losing people. Clarke, what do you think about this story? You think this is going to hurt?
I mean, I think it's unfortunate for the fans who do go every year.
Right.
Honestly, it's not really fair to them. But I do agree that, Comic-Con is just getting bigger and bigger every year, and it feels a bit unmanageable.
Right.
Access to anything is so challenging. But I do think that the claim for piracy is nonsense. I don't think that that's true at all. I mean, I'm not saying that's not an element of concern, which, because sure it is, but the idea that that's the reason they're dropping out is phony to me.
What do you think it is? If you were to guess, what do you think? There's more than just the footage? You think?
Maybe there's some behind-the-scenes dealings that we don't know about, like a relationship that maybe has gone bad between Fox and between Comic-Con. I don't know.
I'd say it was more, if anything, I think it may be because it's not enough bang for your buck. They lose so much money there, and then I happen to think that I like the idea that Comic-Con is now streaming all their panels, and I think that what they should do is have an agreement with the studio that the studio should show footage that they want to get out to the public. The same way, remember how positive it was at Star Wars Celebration when they showed these topics, when they showed the trailer for The Force Awakens and how the panel was streamed and the footage was streamed, and it got so much buzz. But Reilly, you came in this morning, you told us about this.
Yeah.
What do you think is happening?
I mean, I think this is the sign of bigger things to come, and I think there's going to be more studios that actually follow suit. And I think Disney actually started it off by saying, you know what, we're going to take all our stuff and we're going to show it at D23.
Right.
And we're going to give, just like you said, I think Disney, they know what they're doing. They have good security in place. They're streaming it. The fans that can't make it to these conventions are getting something, you know, and that just seems to be the evolution happening now.
But I have a question. Then where is Fox going to go? Because we do know that,
Exactly.
like D20, I understand Disney pulling out.
Right.
I understand Disney Marvel because
They have another place to put
exactly.
stuff. Right.
But where, because CinemaCon, I feel like we pay attention to something like that, and people on the inside pay attention to something like that, but that's not Comic-Con.
Yeah, maybe it's a thing that, they don't necessarily have to do a convention to get their material out there because of the way it's just shifted, like just on YouTube. I mean, they can put, they want to get certain footage out there. You want to get, look what they did with the Deadpool footage. They leaked it. They didn't, it didn't get leaked. They leaked it, and it did wonders for them. It made moves. So there are ways to get your footage out to the fans just by putting it on the internet that'll do just the amount of impact that it does at like a Comic-Con. So I just think it speaks bigger things of Comic-Con and how they've got to improve stuff, or this is going to start happening a lot more.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
In a massive purchase of one of the last remaining independent and publicly traded studios, Comcast NBC Universal has made a deal to acquire DreamWorks Animation, a deal that values the animation studio at $3.8 billion. DreamWorks Animation CEO Jeffrey Katzenberg had long been looking for a buyer for the studio, courting such suitors as Japan's SoftBank and even Hasbro, but nothing materialized. When the deal closes, Katzenberg will chair DreamWorks New Media, which comprises the company's ownership interest in Awesomeness TV and Nova. The studio itself will be folded into the Universal Filmed Entertainment Group, which includes Universal Pictures, Fandango, and NBC Universal Brand Development. Illumination founder Christopher Meledandri, the man you can thank for Despicable Me and the Minions, will help guide the growth of the DreamWorks animation business in the future, the company said. Kristian, what do you think of the $3.8 billion sale of DreamWorks Animation?
I think it's probably a good investment for the amount of money that they're going to make. These movies do make, and I know that Universal kind of wants to do a shared universe of sorts, so they can, everybody's doing the shared universe, and why not do it in animation? And whether or not wherever you see the Minions and Kung Fu Panda, or maybe there's another property that now How to Train Your Dragon can kind of mix in with too. So this could be fun if done correctly. If not exploited, I think that it could be, I don't know, I think it's a good purchase, and I think it makes sense. What do you think, Clarke?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't see why not. And I think that, the Minions have been all over Universal Studios for a long time. Clearly, there's already a relationship there. And I think it's really interesting. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but paying attention to what's going on at the parks, what their audiences are responding to. It only makes sense as Disney expands their universe with Marvel and with Star Wars, for Universal to do the same,
right,
to bring in these bigger properties, to lock in families and their summer dollars, not only at the movies but at the parks as well. So it makes sense for them to just own it outright.
Reilly?
Yeah, I think, Clarke, you mentioned something interesting. It's Disney. This is like now becoming a direct competition for Disney. They have now a huge animation arm that can go toe-to-toe with Disney. And you even mentioned the theme park. Now you can put How to Train Your Dragon there. You can put Shrek. You can put Kung Fu Panda. So this is a big business deal. You look at $3.8 billion. Lucasfilm sold for $4 billion. I mean,
which is crazy.
Yeah.
It's right up there. So these are big, big properties, and I'm interested to see what it does with the slate of movies, especially How to Train Your Dragon, which is my favorite.
Right.
I just don't want to see a minion on a dragon. I'm sorry.
Right.
I just don't want it.
You just want to see it get exploited. For
Yeah,
sure.
it's got to be
love
right for the story.
Minions.
You like to see the Minions on the dragons?
I love Minions. I want to see them on everything.
Yeah.
Hanging out with Shrek.
I know. All right, well, those were two breaking stories that hit. That's why, don't worry, the sidebar is not drunk. We just wanted to tell you what was happening in the world of the movie news. And there's some more stuff that happened that is on the sidebar. Natasha, what is that?
It was big news when Sony and Marvel announced they'd be working out a deal to bring Spider-Man into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And with fans and critics praising the new Spidey played by Tom Holland in Captain America Civil War, fans are now wondering who will be creatively in control of his solo movie. Leave it to Marvel head honcho Kevin Feige to set the record straight once and for all. Speaking with Hey You Guys at the UK premiere of Civil War, Feige was asked who would be handling the creative direction of the new Spidey movie, Marvel or Sony. Feige responded, "Well, I've known all those people for a very long time. Amy Pascal, Tom Rothman, who runs Sony now, I've known for years. So it's been great. They really are supportive in allowing us to make the creative decisions to make Spider-Man Homecoming. But they've been great partners. So far, so good on that movie." Kristian, what are your thoughts on Kevin Feige's comments about Spider-Man?
Come on. Do we not know this? I mean,
Shocker.
Come on. It's like even when this question's asked, inside Kevin Feige's head, he's going, "You guys really asking me this? Think about it. You think we're going to let our property go to a studio that has not done this character justice time and time again, minus Sam Raimi's first 2 Spider-Man. We're going to let this happen and just give it to them. Yeah, you can be part of the shared universe. We trust you. Go ahead. Put Jamie Foxx in it again. You knew that they were going to say, yes, let's make a deal. If we're going to be part of this shared universe, we are going to have a majority of the say of how this character is going to be introduced in your standalone movie, introduced in our Civil War film. It makes total sense. And when it was I think that Dennis and I were on the kind of, this is going to be how it happens when this announcement went down. It just made sense. Why would you give Sony the rights? They haven't proven that they can do justice to this character yet, but the creative team, as far as the vision of where they want to go with it, it makes sense. These comments it's a duh thing. What do you think, Reilly?
Yeah, it's a no duh thing.
Yeah.
And I love what Kevin Feige says. I was kind of reading between the lines there. You said it. He was like, no, those guys are great over there, but we're handling this. We got this, and they should. Marvel took the risk to get $500 million to start a studio from Merrill Lynch way back when, and they created Iron Man. They know what they're doing. They took a B-level superhero. There were headlines saying, Iron Man, B-level, and they made it huge.
With Downey, who at that time had not had a resurgence,
Exactly.
and Jon Favreau, the guy from
They didn't want
Zathura.
Downey. They didn't want Downey.
Exactly.
Yeah, they know. They took these risks. So look what they did for those characters. And Spidey needs an upgrade. He needs a makeover. Marvel knows how to do it. And all I'm hearing from Civil War is that Spider-Man was nailed. They stuck the landing. I can't wait to see it. So, yeah.
Clarke?
Yeah, I mean, and also I think if in my head, if you're Sony, you go, yeah, guys, okay, why don't you take the reins quietly and handle this? Because at the end of the day, it's still, they have partial ownership of this character and of this franchise. It behooves them after the disastrous, I don't want to say disastrous, but the less well-received last few Spider-Man movies to have this character sort of fall into good graces with audiences again. Right. It's a win-win for fans and for everybody's bottom line.
Mm-hmm. All right, what's next?
Filming is underway on Ridley Scott's Alien Covenant, and to mark the occasion, the official Twitter account for the movie tweeted out 2 images giving fans an idea of what to expect from the Ridley Scott-directed prequel-sequel. The first is some unused concept art of the iconic H.R. Geiger alien creature, with the second showing a patch for the Covenant mission, showing that the Wayland Corporation has merged with the Yutani Corporation from the previous movies in canon. Alien Covenant opens August 4th, 2017, and stars Michael Fassbender, Catherine Watterson, Danny McBride, Billy Crudup, and Callie Hernandez. Clarke, what do you think of the images from Alien Covenant?
Well, I mean, I'm not learning too much from these images. I don't know how much you can actually read into a picture of a xenomorph and an arm patch, but it's something. And, I think that especially after 426, which was Alien Day, just happened a couple of days ago, it was a big thing on the internet. Fans showed up. They wanted to see the movies. I think that people are still really interested in this franchise. I think Sigourney Weaver gave a Q&A and said that she's still very interested in this franchise. And, I am maybe in the minority, but I didn't hate Prometheus. I actually enjoy Prometheus. So I'm curious to see what's coming next from Alien Covenant. And I think what they're doing is smart by reminding people, especially with the flurry of news around Blomkamp's pitches and art, and this is going to go, but wait, no, it's not. And it's kind of Prometheus, but no, it's not. They're doing I think they're doing good by getting out in front of this movie, letting people know, yep, we're in production. Yep, here's a xenomorph. That's what you guys can look forward to. Yep, this is an alien movie. So for me, I'm excited about it.
I am with you. I didn't love Prometheus, but what I do love about these pictures is that we're getting one of the things I didn't like about Prometheus was that I felt that they just kind of played off the alien name but never really gave us anything from the actual universe. They kind of teased it a bit, but it was, we're leading to it, and it was just, was it a prequel? It wasn't. Remember that whole big controversy of, it's not really a prequel, it's something in the same universe. This is a prequel. This is, I mean, you see the alien, and that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see that iconic image running around, and we're going to see that again back with Ridley Scott doing it. So to see the images, I'm down with it. I want to see what he's going to do as he continues to get closer to the original Alien and Aliens. And then I think that Schnepp was absolutely correct when he talked about it yesterday, that after those movies are set up, then we're going to get Blomkamp's version that will also continue. So we'll have the 3 movies well, I guess the 4 movies from Ridley Scott, right? And then you'll have James Cameron's movie, and then we'll have Blomkamp's. So I like it. I like these images. What do you think?
Yeah, I like it, and it's following a trend, it seems, of patches, because they did the same thing with Star Trek Beyond, and you're like, oh, great, patches. Let's do this. But, yeah, you can obviously see that, hey, this is an Alien movie. We even changed the title to have Alien in it. And so Ridley Scott is going back to it. He's making that very clear. I think he's at the top of his game right now after The Martian.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? Because the thing is, like, this shows you what this business is. It's like, what have you done for me lately? Because it's just how it is. Like, because we were not talking about Ridley Scott that way.
Nope.
Everybody was saying how bad, like, The Counselor and everything else, and Prometheus was like, okay. Some people enjoyed it, but it was mixed. The reviews.
Absolutely.
As were The Martian, everyone loved. So
Yeah, and I'm with you, Clarke. I loved Prometheus. I thought it was really well done. Sure, it had some problems, but I liked the way it was shot. The opening scene was very reminiscent of the opening scene in Alien. I love that they kind of bookended each other. So coming back to this world is awesome. And, the original script of Prometheus by John Spates had aliens in it. And that's, I think, the biggest complaint after Prometheus is like, where's the aliens? And you got that weird hybrid at the end. So this is great. And in one of the tweets they actually sent from the official Twitter was like, hey, we might use unused concept art from H.R. Geiger as the alien. And I'm like, okay, yeah, give me that. I want more.
And by the way, to what Schnepp was talking about, Sigourney Weaver at the Q&A on the Alien screening did say, as far as she knows, the plan is after Ridley's movie comes out and goes, then Blomkamp's movie goes.
Okay. I heard that too. It just seems like, doesn't it seem like they're kind of vying for position on like who's it's like he tweets out and then they tweet out, and it just seems interesting.
It's always going to be Scott though, no matter what.
Absolutely.
It's weird. It's a little straight. Well, it's very curious for fans too, just because keeping the order of things, and what to expect and what not to expect. It's funny how they're publicly. I feel like you can see that there is some uncertainty about what to do and which path to go down first. Do you want the guy who created it all? Do you want him back in the director's chair, or do you want to give it to an upstart? But his last couple of movies weren't so well received, but Sigourney's really excited to work with him again and loves his take on the material. So it's funny to see this publicly play out a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, what's next?
According to a report from The Hollywood Reporter, Richard E. Grant has joined the cast of Hugh Jackman's last run as Logan in Wolverine 3. The James Mangold-helmed sequel will see Grant playing a villainous mad scientist type, with no other details being offered. Soon after the report, Deadline dropped news that The Office creator Stephen Merchant was also added to the film in an especially secret role, with no description or name being listed. The rumored plotline for Wolverine 3 has been teased to loosely follow the Old Man Logan story from the comics, with Patrick Stewart's Professor X joining Logan on this final adventure. Filming is set to begin soon, with a release date set for March 3rd, 2017. Reilly, buy or sell Richard E. Grant and Stephen Merchant joining Wolverine 3.
Hey, Reilly, now it's time for buy or sell.
Interesting. Buy or sell. Okay. I'm going to buy this.
Okay.
All right. I'm buying I'm Stephen Merchant. That's just interesting to me. And I read this report and they're like they made a point to say, there's no description whatsoever on this guy. So is he a mutant? Is he part of Weapon X? Who knows what he's doing? I just love the idea of Stephen Merchant in a Wolverine movie. I mean, the guy is so awkward. I love that about him. He created The Office. He did that great show. God, what was that show?
Hello, Ladies.
Hello, Ladies.
Extras.
Yeah, that talk about being awkward. So to see him be in the Wolverine universe, yeah, I buy it. I like it. And Richard E. Grant, too. I mean, mad scientist type, sure. Let's get it.
I'm buying it. I'm not like over the moon about it. I don't know what the role is. I don't know enough of the work to where I'm swaying one way or another. If they're talented and they think that they fit the universe and it fits the role, then sure. But I'm not like a pro or a con. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I buy it, but I'm curious what you guys think. Do you feel like this could be adding a real heavy hitter in the comedy space like Stephen Merchant to this movie? Do you think that this is in some way reactionary to Deadpool's success of having a bit of a lighter tone?
Good point.
Not a lighter tone, because obviously Deadpool is pretty dark, but humor. Yeah.
Maybe you could, and it's a Fox property, so you could see where that worked, so why not throw it in there? I don't know. There's always been kind of comedic talent placed in these movies. But I think that's a great observation. So it's definitely possible.
Yeah, I think, if they're injecting it with the right story ideas for him, then that makes sense a lot to me too. Is it an answer to Deadpool? I don't know. I mean, they keep saying it's Old Man Logan or based loosely on Old Man Logan, and that's a dark comic book. And there's like the whole Marvel universe, like Incredible Hulk has like a huge Hulk family. They're going after Wolverine, and Hawkeye's in it. So I don't think they're going to be Old Man Logan. It just may be some elements from it. So. But I don't know. Stephen Merchant's fun.
Yeah, this is not going to be a straight up comedy, and Merchant's certainly not going to be the lead character, as where you have Ryan Reynolds as comedy throughout the whole thing. But I think that by making just things a little lighter too, that might happen for certain scenes. But it's going to be a darker film. I think.
Sure. Yeah. And Stephen Merchant, by the way, I mean, I'm a fan of his work and have listened to him give many interviews, and he's a performer. I mean, so it's not to say the only thing that he can do is this one thing, but his strength in comedy is definitely well known. But yeah, I mean, I buy it. Sure, why not?
All right, what's next?
Variety is reporting that Will Ferrell is attached to star as Ronald Reagan in the movie Reagan, based on the Blacklist script written by Mark Rosolio. The story begins at the start of the ex-president's second term when he falls into dementia, and an ambitious intern is tasked with convincing the commander-in-chief that he is an actor playing the president in a movie. Ferrell will produce under his production banner Gary Sanchez Productions, with the package currently being shopped around town in search of a director. Christian, buy or sell a Reagan movie starring Will Ferrell?
Now, wait a minute. Is this so? Is comedy? Is it not a comedy? I mean,
I think it's probably a dark comedy or a bit of a satire. That's
Yeah.
what I guess.
That's what it seems like through it. I would have rather it be a straight up drama. I want to see Will Ferrell venture. I'm going to sell it. I'm going to sell it if it's a comedy. If it's a dark comedy, I don't want to see a dark comedy about a guy with dementia and then playing on the fact that this guy, it was a horrible thing. But if it's playing into where it is a complete drama and we get to see Will Ferrell, because Will Ferrell has acting chops. He can act. So I would prefer this to, because I got excited when I heard that he was going to be playing Ronald Reagan, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. So Will Ferrell's going after the biopic of Ronald Reagan? That's going to be something interesting, and I was going to buy this wholeheartedly. But now I'm going to sell it because I don't want to see a satire on this. I just don't think it's something to kind of goof about. Clarke?
Yeah, I buy this. I agree. I think Will Ferrell is a really talented dramatic actor, and I think that his interest in politics has always kind of been under the surface of a lot of the work that he's done, especially with his production company Gary Sanchez. And I think that a Blacklist script is a great start. I think Will Ferrell doing something where he has a script is very important, and I like that. I know Adam McKay just got a lot of really goodwill for The Big Short, which, as he should. I know that was a project that was very close to him. But I feel like at this point, when McKay is directing Ferrell, he has him on too long of a leash. They don't rein it in, and it's a little too all over the place. So I like that they're looking for a director to helm this. And by the way, I think that if I had to guess, while this could be slightly satirical, because you can look into the politics of Ronald Reagan and when his dementia and Alzheimer's set in on your own, but I have a feeling that Ferrell's going to play it straight. I don't think that he's going to be going for laughs. However, I do think that we could probably assume that the world around him or the scenario around him.
Like Big Short? I'm pretty sure there was a lot of comedy and a pretty serious.
Yeah, like I also am kind of thinking of this movie that I don't know if it's even out yet, but Elvis and Nixon.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't love that movie, and I don't want to directly compare it, but Michael Shannon was playing it very straight, and but he is so ridiculous. Elvis's character was so ridiculous, and the scenario around him was so ridiculous that's where some of the comedy was able to come from.
A lot of the chat room is saying that it's listed as a drama. So if it's like I said, if it's listed as a pure drama, then I'm absolutely buying it. If it is going to be any comedy whatsoever, I think it's in poor taste.
Listen to the premise. The premise is that an intern is trying to convince Ronald Reagan that he's in a movie.
Right.
That is not a dramatic premise.
Right.
So even if it's a drama, I think we can expect some
Sounds
levity.
like a Jim Carrey movie also. Yeah. All right. What's next? Not what's next. Sorry. Buy or sell?
Yeah, it's a huge buy for me. I love this idea because
even as a comedy.
It's in it from every report I've read. It's not a comedy.
Okay.
It has comedic elements. I might have a biased attachment to it because my grandfather had dementia,
Right.
and we would do that just to get him off the chair. We would say, "Oh no, we're actually going to take a ride." You know, he had his favorite car, and he'd go, "Oh, okay." So that idea is so fascinating to me to have it with the president. What we know of Reagan, who had dementia, and then. Like every insider in Hollywood, it was on the blacklist. They said that this reminded them of Dave, and I love that movie Dave. So they compared it to that. It's with dramatic elements, but a lot of lighthearted humor. And so it's a big buy. I'm looking at it that way. With Will Ferrell, I can just picture it in my mind, him toning it down and playing it straight. And that, to me, is interesting. So,
All right. What's next?
Principal photography has begun on Millennium Films' The Hitman's Bodyguard, starring Deadpool's Ryan Reynolds and Avengers' Samuel L. Jackson. The action comedy about the world's top protection agent, played by Reynolds, and his new client, a notorious hitman, played by Jackson, are stuck together and have 24 hours to get from England to The Hague, with the only thing standing in their way being a murderous Eastern European dictator, played by Gary Oldman. The movie also stars Elodie Yung and Salma Hayek and is directed by Expendables 3 director Patrick Hughes. Clarke, buy or sell The Hitman's Bodyguard?
You know, I'm going to sell this. I think this premise sounds a little goofy. And I think the cast is great. And it's an exciting cast. And I like when Gary Oldman goes full Oldman and gets a little ridiculous. But yeah, it's just a little too run-of-the-mill action comedy. And so I'm going to sell it.
I'm also going to sell it. It just until I see a trailer that convinces me otherwise, it sounds like a tired premise. That being said, if I would have just heard about the Kingsman and heard what, just Kingsman, would have heard what Sam Jackson was doing, that I'd be like, that doesn't sound like anything too interesting. And I loved it. One of my favorite movies of that year. Ryan Reynolds, though, minus Deadpool, and even Gary Oldman, have not been making the best choices. I just saw that horrible-ass, what the hell was that movie? Criminal, with Kevin Costner and Gary Oldman. Anybody could have been in that movie. I don't know why he was in that film. And to say that anybody could have had the same role that Gary Oldman was in. This movie could be something fun and something different, but I agree with you. It sounds cliche to me, and I've seen it a million times, so I'm not excited about the idea of it. Reilly?
can I lease with an option to buy?
Absolutely.
It's only for, they kind of got me with Eastern European dictator. like it just, I can picture Gary Oldman kind of chewing the scenery. I can see a little bit of True Romance, his professional, how he was in The Professional. I can picture it, but yeah, it kind of sounds like a tired premise. And I don't know. I don't want to see Samuel Jackson doing another version of his Kingsman role,
right,
or just doing some kind of over-the-top villain. It's sort of interesting, but yeah, so lease with an option to buy.
All right. Last, buy or sell.
A new trailer has been released for Approaching the Unknown, a science fiction movie starring Mark Strong as Captain William D. Staniforth, a brilliant scientist and newly trained astronaut who embarks on an epic 270-day journey to Mars. When he docks with Captain Emily Maddox, another astronaut, on a concurrent solo journey, things go terribly wrong and they are forced to consider aborting the mission and turning back to Earth. The movie also stars Sana Lathan and Luke Wilson and is directed by Mark Elijah Rosenberg. The movie hits theaters this June 3rd. Reilly, buy or sell the new trailer for Approaching the Unknown?
No, I'm selling it. It just didn't do anything for me. It looked like I kept, and it's unfair of me to do this, but I kept seeing The Martian, and it didn't have a lot. It just seemed very creepy, and I don't know if he's going crazy in space and then he wants to turn around. But the trailer at least didn't give me any, what happened. I just didn't see what happened. So I don't know. It's a sell.
I am definitely selling this movie. It seemed like The Martian without the comedy. It seemed like a 99-cent version of Gravity. It just seemed like a movie to me that I just didn't care about, that I'd catch on cable and be like, all right, that's whatever. And then Luke Wilson, can you have any emotion in the voiceover? Why are you doing that? Where are you going? Please don't go farther. I need a snack. It's like, what's happening? It's like you didn't really know what was happening in the movie, and he's just growing a beard and growing plants, and Matt Damon's like, that's not how you do it, guy. So it's just the movie that I don't care about.
Yeah, I'm gonna sell it too. It's a 3-fer. But I also, in addition to seeing The Martian, I saw a 99-cent version of Moon. I've seen this before, and it was really awesome when Sam Rockwell and Duncan Jones did it. And it's very hard to do this type of story well. And yeah, the trailer it really didn't do anything for me, so I'm going to sell it too.
Okay, speaking of selling, it is time for opening this week, brought to you by our friends over at AMC Theatres. Natasha, what is opening this week?
Opening this week is Mother's Day. 3 generations come together the week before Mother's Day with intertwining stories revolving around a television host, Julia Roberts, a divorcee, Jennifer Aniston, looking for love, and a woman, Kate Hudson, who wants to strengthen her relationship with her mother.
Okay. So this movie, Gary Marshall now, who was great back in the day with movies obviously like Pretty Woman and I Love the Flamingo Kid. That's a movie a lot of people I don't think have seen. It's a movie that might be remade and should be remade. But he's been doing a lot of these things, these Valentine's Day, these ensemble casts, and they do well because, they play on the holidays. What I can tell you about this is that I saw the movie. What I can also tell you is that there is an embargo on the film. The movie comes out tomorrow and the embargo drops tonight. Take that for however you want to perceive that. I'm going to ask my 2 panelists here too. You hear that this movie is coming out, Mr. Reilly. Is it something that you're going to take the lady to, or is it something that you tell her it never came out in the theater and they were lying to you?
I'm going to tell her they were lying and not go see this. However, I cannot get past my own mother, who doesn't text me very often, but because she calls, she texted me with this one.
What'd she say?
She said, "Have you heard of Mother's Day? I want to go see that." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, we can go see that on Mother's Day." And she's like, "We should do a big thing where we go to Mother's Day, we have brunch." And I'm like, "Oh God, here we go." And it's very cute. Okay, and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take my mom to Mother's Day because she's like, "Oh, Julia Roberts, ooh, Jennifer Aniston. I wonder what they're doing in it." I'm like, "They're." Yeah.
It was originally called One Day Embargo. Clarke, are you excited about this one at all?
Nope.
Do you think Gary Marshall still has it? Why should anyone be looking forward to this movie coming out? Do you think is there any way that people that are excited about it, they can enjoy it?
Sure. If they look like Mr. Reilly's mother.
Yeah.
I think this movie was made for her.
Absolutely.
I think this movie was made for moms across the country who celebrate Mother's Day and say, let's go. I like all these ladies. It looks sweet. Let's go have brunch and go see it. My mom would not be into this. I can tell you that right now. My mom is sassy, but that's a different story. So she will not be going to see Mother's Day. But does Gary Marshall still have it? With some people, and I think we have a question about this later in the show, about people who are maybe working for paychecks. I don't understand what it is. I really don't. I don't understand why, if you're a director like Gary Marshall, you do stuff like this aside from, hey, I like my friend Julia Roberts. I like my friend Jennifer Aniston. These are fun little movies for us to make. I make a ton of money, and why not?
Yeah. Natasha, any interest in seeing this one?
No, this is one bad movie that I am not interested in seeing.
Nice. All right.
But I will say, this is really funny. I watched the trailer for this. That night, I had a dream that I ran over Kate Hudson with a van.
Because she made this movie?
And that Jennifer Aniston was in the car with me, like, suck it up. And I'm like, ah. So I think that that's just like an omen as to what this movie's going to be.
Like being run over by a van.
Yes, exactly.
And look, Ellis and I reviewed this movie, and it will be up on our Schmoes channel tomorrow once the embargo is lifted. So if you want to see us talk about that, we might just have a cartoon cat make an appearance. Okay. Now, before we go into mailbag, which is where you guys submit all your questions and we go through them, we have a little thing happening here tomorrow, Friday. It is the movie trivia Schmodown.
Woohoo!
But it is for the championship. It is our first championship match. It is 5 rounds for the championship. Mark Yodi Reilly going up against everyman's hero, JTE, in their second match. Mark, you're finally getting back in the ring there. You've seen all the competitors. It's getting heated up. You finally go up against the Screen Junkies engineer, JTE. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. After that ridiculous image, I'm feeling confident. That thing is awesome. JTE is a tough competitor. That guy, he is a savant, not with speaking, because we know he can't. I love it when he says Triceratops or Guillermo Del Toro, but he knows his movie stuff. He knows his movie trivia. So I'm taking him seriously. However, he's already flying these banners on Twitter that he is going to be the Schmodown champion. He's wanted to register a Twitter handle as Schmodown champion. He posted something online with a video with his name in it. Man, come on, buddy. Come on. You're already counting your chickens before they hatch. Wow. All right, I'm the champ. You're gonna have to bring your game to take me on, because if you don't, you're gonna lose.
I love it. And Reilly's the only person, I believe, that he's got 2 knockouts. He's the only person that has, any knockouts in the league. So that's something. Clarke, real quick, your thoughts on JTE and the champion, Mark Reilly.
This is going to be a really tough one.
Yeah.
As I've said before, studying for the Schmodown, I watched all of them, and these guys know their stuff. Both of you guys. I mean, it's, and I've said before, and I'll say it again, I don't want to go up against Mark Reilly in a trivia battle. So it's going to be a tough one, but I'm going to be watching. I'm going to be watching with my popcorn, ready to go.
And look, you say that. You are becoming a fan favorite here on the Schmodown, too. I can announce your next match will be against Finstock. That is going to be happening in just about a month from now. But, yeah, that's happening. So, guys, if you're not watching the movie Trivia Schmodown, the entire list, it is up there on the channel. Mark Reilly, the champion, representing Collider. That will be happening tomorrow, so go and check it out. Okay, now let's get to Mailbag. Natasha, what's up first?
Miles A. writes, "Hey Collider crew, love this show and watch you guys daily. Max Landis is considered a great creative mind and is quite heralded as a writer in Hollywood. However, looking at the films and TV he has been involved in, there's really nothing of note under his belt. He's not someone whose properties impress very often. Even Chronicle, his most popular and I feel best adapted property, received slightly more than a lukewarm reception with fans and critics, and barely anyone I bring it up to has even watched it. Do you think that he gets a higher level of recognition than he maybe should just based on who he is? Or do you think his properties are being adapted with the studios afraid to dive fully into his vision?"
No, what I think it also is the fact the dude can pitch movies. Like, I've seen him. He was on our show. I've seen him on Screen Junkies. I've seen him on his own YouTube channel. He is a personality. He's definitely, whether you love him or hate him, he's a personality. And it's funny. Ken Knapsack, our buddy, always says the thing about Max Landis is that you hate him until you love him.
Yeah.
And it's so true. Like, if you've talked to him and if you watch him enough, you start to get that. The guy knows movies very well. He pitches movies very well. He's very original. He's very creative. So I understand how he continues to get all these movies, because his ideas are original and they're different and they're fun, and he's got good relationships. It certainly helps I think it got him through the door to who his dad was, but I think that he's able to go in there and have these kind of fun ideas and then pitch these things. I liked American Ultra. I know I was one of the few, but I enjoyed it. I like when I hear Max Landis is going to be doing a movie, because I always know there's going to be something outrageous or something fun to it. So it's just, I think that I'm glad that he's a guy that's working as much as he is, because there's always something new involved. Clarke?
Yeah, a couple of things. First of all, with Chronicle, and correct me if I'm wrong, I know you will, chat board and everyone, but that was an original script.
Yeah.
That was not an adaptation.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important to note, because that's an original idea that Max came up with. Also, Chronicle was not lukewarm with critics. It sits at 85% certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. And while it was a small independent movie, which it was, the people who saw it were industry people. And I think that cannot be underestimated. The fans of that movie love that movie. I'm one of them. I think that movie is absolutely fantastic. So the reason I bring that up is because I think what you're seeing is Max, when his material is maybe shot in close to its most authentic and original form, you get interesting ideas that play on genres or tropes that you may know. When you get into the worlds of big studio movies like Victor Frankenstein or whatever, Fantastic Four, that's when a lot of times writers lose control. They get their scripts purchased and then it's done. It's over. We can do whatever we want to it. So I think that's really important to note. And I think it's also important to note that he just sold 2 scripts because he has great ideas. And like you said, Kristian, he's passionate, he can pitch, but I just don't, screenwriting is one of the hardest things to really see where the screenwriter, how much of it was theirs. Because the way accreditation works and all of that is so convoluted that it can say it was written screenplay by, and that person hadn't touched the script in 2 years.
Yeah, and I feel Max Landis gets a bad rap now for being the son and nepotism in the studio system. Yeah, maybe a door opened, but his talent kept him there. They would have kicked him out if he wasn't very good.
No one's buying his scripts because he's someone's son.
Right.
Exactly, a long time ago. And yeah, he made a ton of sales. And David Ayer with Bright and Will Smith attached, doing a hard R movie with fantasy elements at Netflix. David Ayer got behind it. And, it's interesting if you do follow Max on Twitter. Somebody asked about Victor Frankenstein, and they're like, well, it didn't make sense when this happened, blah, blah, blah. And he said, yeah, that's what happens when you cut 15 pages off the opening. And so I feel that it's the studio that's kind of noodling around with his scripts. Sooner or later, he's going to get to a point where you don't touch what I'm doing. You have to film it as is.
He needs hits, though, before that happens, though.
And once he gets a hit, that probably will happen.
He needs, the big hit before that happens, because, the viewer was asking, is that you can write and sell a bunch of movies, but until you get the notoriety of, oh, you did that movie, that's what is going to put him over the edge. Because even looking at the chat room, there are people who love him, there are people that hate him. So it says that's what he does. How many screenwriters, though, do you know?
Exactly.
Right.
That's the thing. There's a reason why you know him, and it's not just because of his work, which he's obviously talented. It's because he's a personality, he's a presence, and that's why he works also, because he is out there. He's creative, and it's a mixture of all of it.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Thomas Markey writes, "Hi Collider crew, my question is regarding Tim Burton. Other than Frankenweenie, he hasn't really made any decent movies since Big Fish. Why do you think he keeps getting handed a high-profile project such as Dumbo? His earlier work is excellent, but now I feel like his films are more about visuals and less about the actual story."
Clarke, what do you think? I'm going to let you start with this one.
Okay, I'll start with this one. First of all, I very much like Sweeney Todd, which came after Big Fish. And this is tough. This is very tough. I don't understand why Tim Burton is making the decisions he's making. There's a lot of positive buzz and anticipation for his new movie with Eva Green, which I think is cool and exciting. I would love to see someone like Tim Burton make another Ed Wood. I would love to see him make another small, weird, from the heart movie. I don't know why, as I was saying earlier, certain people in the business choose to go so big when it feels like they could go smaller and maybe be a bit more artistic, but it's a personal choice. And Alice in Wonderland made like $1 billion. Yeah. That's not an exaggeration, billion with a B. So someone somewhere liked what he does, liked what he did there. And, but I don't know. I will say that as a fan of his, I am slightly disappointed in maybe the choices that he has been making lately.
The answer is why he's still getting work is because he's Tim Burton. He has been around for a while. He has done many things, and like Clarke just said, Alice in Wonderland made a lot of money. So why wouldn't Disney, who they've already seen what he's did with one of their properties, say, okay, let's do Dumbo. You have a pitch for it? It's Tim Burton. He says, yeah, because Tim Burton's going to make Dumbo. You go back and watch that movie. It's a bit dark. Mm-hmm. It's got the pink elephants scene. You don't think Tim Burton's going to crush that? I mean, I think it's perfect for him. And I think that if he's got that take for it, then why not try? And then with the technology, what they've done with Jungle Book, and bring that over to the elephants, I think that could be interesting to watch Tim Burton do that. So I think that it's a matter of the Disney execs sitting around and go, who do we think could make this work? Who we worked with in the past? Oh, Tim Burton. That movie made a lot of money. He's got a great vision. He's made some great movies in the past. And there you go. That's why he got the movie. I agree that he hasn't really made some... I was looking forward to Big Eyes, and it turned out this seems to be the theme of the show. I liked that more than most. It's not a great movie. It's not even that good of a movie, but I enjoyed watching it, but I understand people's complaints with it. Reilly, do you think there's another reason why he keeps getting roles?
No, I think you guys all hit it on the head. I mean, yeah, and you keep going back to Alice in Wonderland, $1 billion. That was pretty big at that time. Now there's some movies that just kind of hit it in their sleep, with superhero movies and Star Wars and whatnot. But he did that. And I think what the fan and what Thomas is talking about a lot of us who go to the movies, that eat, breathe, sleep these movies, we're kind of tired of Tim Burton and Johnny Depp. Maybe. I mean, they're always together, it seems like. And so you kind of want him to do something to kind of travel outside what he's always done. Big Eyes, he tried. Yeah, I liked it. I didn't think it was great. Dumbo is fascinating. I go back and forth wondering, what the hell is this guy going to do with Dumbo? Right. I mean, at first I was like rolling my eyes, but if he can pull in some of that darkness that is in that story and go crazy with the pink elephants and then actually focus on Dumbo, and it might be something interesting. I just think that studios are going to hire this guy no matter what. He has $1 billion in his pocket.
As long as Johnny Depp isn't Dumbo, I'm good.
Thank you, yes.
All right, now it's Twitter time. You guys have been submitting questions at Collider Video. Natasha Martinez has been going through them, picking out the best ones. What are they saying in the Twittersphere?
In the Twittersphere, Kyle Marquis says, how is it possible for pirating apps like Showbox to still exist? Do you guys ever get upset with people who use them? I do.
That's a good question.
What do you got for it? Because I'm like this.
What's that? The pirating.
Like, how do apps that, like, you can, like, there are certain apps where it's just, that you go there to pirate movies.
Oh, okay.
So the question is, how is that a thing? Like, how are they not shut down?
Yeah, I hate that stuff. Whenever I
hate it
hear
too.
of somebody pirating a movie, I get so angry.
How do they stay open?
I don't know, and I don't know how. And I've had people in my family that they tell me Wolverine Origins was so heavily pirated before it came out, and he was one of the ones that said, "Oh yeah, I saw it online." I was like, "What are you doing? Why do you do that? Why do you want to take away that wonderful experience of going and sitting in a movie with your friends and a shared communal experience, yelling and cheering on a big screen? You're watching it from your phone. It just doesn't make sense." And also, all the people that go and dedicate blood, sweat, and tears to make these movies, you're stealing money from them. And I know it's a big, hotly debated topic, so I don't want to get into those politics, but I think technology is so advanced, we're going to have these pirating apps and these ways to get movies out there for a very long time. I mean, it's just the nature now.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Okay, next Kevin asks, Batman The Killing Joke is straight to Blu-ray. Will we ever see an animated DC Marvel movie on the big screen?
That's a good question.
That's a good question. Wasn't it Mask of the Phantasm? Wasn't that?
I think so.
I think
that
it was theatrical.
Yeah, I mean, so we have had one before. Do I think we'll have one again ever? Yeah, absolutely. I think we will. And I think that we're very young into the DC cinematic universe in general. Now, whether or not the animated is going to play into that universe, the answer is probably no. But I think that I think that animation will absolutely play a part in DC storytelling down the line. Now, whether that's 2 to 10 years, I don't know. But what do you think, Reilly?
Yeah, I think it's kind of inevitable. I think that it's gonna land in theaters sooner or later. Or at least I hope so. I would love to see The Killing Joke in a theater with fans, because that trailer comes out with the R rating and everybody's like, ooh, and they're excited. Wouldn't that be fun to see on the big screen? Yeah. I think sooner or later, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I would like to see it on the big screen as well. Although it is funny when you think about the risk, like any studio putting out an R-rated superhero movie in and of itself is a risk. But then to put out an R-rated animated superhero movie would be an even more risk. So I think a big of a risk. So I think it does make sense that they're going straight to Blu-ray. But something tells me that there's going to be screenings. That there's going to be a way for fans
think, right?
to,
I mean,
yeah.
Especially, when does it come out? When's it supposed to come out?
The end of summer, isn't it?
So
August? I could be wrong.
I think it's a perfect opportunity to screen that at Comic-Con too, right?
That's where you're right. That's where it's premiering.
a good one, yeah.
That's exactly where it's
See,
premiering.
look at me. I should
You're
be right.
so smart.
That's right. All right, what's next?
Well, speaking of Comic-Con, Sterling Jones asks, with major players leaving, any danger of Comic-Con nosediving into extinction?
No, because there's enough now. Whether or not it goes back and into what it eventually was when it first started out, I think it could take a hit, and it is taking a hit. They need to change things up, but there's still a business to be had there with everything else. Now, whether it becomes either a toy convention or just toys and comics and TV, it's not going away. It won't go away, but it needs to improve. Do you think that it's going to extinction though?
No, but it hasn't evolved as quickly as its popularity has grown.
Right.
And I think that that's a problem going forward. I do think though that they're in a business and they know, I think they hopefully are aware of what's going on. And I think with Fox dropping out and Disney disappearing too, that these are big signs. And so hopefully they will do things to incentivize other brands to stick around.
All right, what's next?
Quincy Ross asks, what do you guys think of a Guillermo Del Toro Last Airbender reboot? He could really interpret the show uniquely.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. But at this point, if you told me that myself, Natasha, Clarke, or Reilly was going to direct another Airbender, it would be great because anybody could have done better than what we got previously. Nothing against Shyamalan, except that was horrendous. It was a joke and should have never been put on screen. It was so bad. It's one of the worst movies I think I've seen in the last 5 to 10 years. It was so bad.
Talk about making $1 zillion, though.
Did it?
That movie made a lot of money.
Really?
Around the yes.
But it was
Yes,
a
it
joke,
did.
though, is the thing. That's why you're not going to see any other. It was such a. I mean, my favorite line from the review that we did, our buddy Steve Simone said that we went to see the movie and the guy next to him fell asleep and he was jealous because that's the kind of movie that was. It was. I couldn't believe how bad it was. So the answer to the question, as far as Del Toro doing it, can you imagine what a Airbender universe painted by Del Toro would look like? That would be incredible.
Be
So
amazing.
of course I would love to see that.
Yeah, I mean, you tell me Del Toro's doing that? Sure, I'm in. I would
Yeah.
love to see that because that movie. I love that he fell asleep and was jealous.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now I'm jealous for having to. I didn't get a nap in when
It
I was watching
so
that.
bad. Clarke, Del Toro?
I didn't see Last Airbender, so I can't speak to how atrocious it was, but I'll take your word for it.
But
Yeah.
Del Toro, though, you'd love to
I
see,
love
though.
Guillermo.
Yeah.
Guillermo Del Toro is my favorite working director today.
Right.
So, he could do a reboot of The Phone Book and
Right.
I would watch it. So, I mean, yeah, I'm in.
See, this possible opponent says Del Toro's name correctly, as where tomorrow's does not.
Yeah, he'll say Guillermo.
Guelmo. He says
Guelmo.
Guelmo.
Guillermo.
Yeah.
De
Oh,
Toro.
JT.
Yeah. Okay. What is next?
Stuart McLoney asks, do you think the early release in the UK of Civil War will hurt the box office with a flood of spoilers bound to hit the net?
No, because it happens all the time. It happens with, some people can say, well, it might have hurt Ultron. It didn't hurt the Avengers when the Avengers came out early. So, no. And I think Captain America, Winter Soldier came out, didn't hurt the box office. The thing is, we know now that you are going to get spoilers on the internet, so stay off the internet until you see it, or stay off. So I know it's easier said than done, but you know the kind of environment that we play in now. So it's either stay away from certain sites, try to avoid it. People can avoid it pretty easily. What do you think, Clarke?
Well, I don't think that it's going to hurt the U.S. box office because I think people are excited. But yeah, the issue of spoilers is very tricky because I've been seeing, by the way, still haven't seen Civil War. Thanks, Marvel. Thanks to
Mark Ellis has seen it.
Yeah, everybody has seen it.
Yeah.
Joe Schmo on the internet on Twitter has seen it, and not
This
this
guy,
not
he's
this
seen
proper
it.
Schmo. But yeah. But what I will say is I've noticed even this week, last week, these news outlets or websites running articles about like our 5 favorite things about this or what this means, and I'm like, what? I can't even. I get out of here. So yeah, I don't think it's going to hurt the box office, but I do think it's very tricky.
Yeah.
I think it's very tricky. And you know what else? With the difference is there's a lot of so much has been building to Civil War for this universe in terms of what the characters and what could happen to the characters that I feel like it's extra super sensitive when it comes to spoilers, and maybe in a way that Ultron wasn't.
Right.
And so that makes me very nervous.
Really?
No, there's no way it's going to hurt the box office. Everybody's going to go see this. In fact, a new tracking report came out. I mean, this thing is inching closer to a $200 million debut weekend, domestic alone. Yeah, it's going to be fine.
Okay. Last one.
Okay, for the last one, Bazinga Guy asks, do you think we could ever see Harloff Minor in a Star Wars movie?
Oh, we'll take one more after this. Do I think that no? We were talking about this before. So those of you who don't know, I was blessed. The great author Claudia Gray had actually made Harloff Minor an official planet in the Star Wars universe. That happened as I was reading it, and it blew my mind. But what I want to try to do is get Dave Filoni on Star Wars Rebels and push him to put it in Star Wars Rebels. Do I think it was people are like, well, Rian Johnson had something to do with the story in Episode 8, so maybe he puts it in Episode 8. No, and I would be okay if it never showed up anywhere else because it's in this particular book, and I know Princess Leia has been on the planet and C-3PO has been. Does anyone think Harloff Minor will pop up in any movies or TV shows?
You hope so, right?
You never know.
I know.
You got.
You
I mean, you're
never know.
canon.
I know.
I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to call something like that.
Yep. Okay. Last one.
Okay, Jake Silva IV asks, who's your favorite actor or actress working today?
Ooh.
I'll go with actor. I'm gonna go with DiCaprio, man. I think that DiCaprio right now is just on fire, and I get excited now when I hear he's doing a project because he picks. And we talked about it yesterday. He's just a really great producer as well. And so he picks the right project, whether it be The Revenant or Wolf of Wall Street, whatever movies are coming out. Even a movie like he did with like J. Edgar, which I didn't like, I'm excited to see because I want to see what he's going to bring to the role. I'm always excited to see what he's going to do. So I would say DiCaprio right now is my favorite.
Yeah, I'm going Chris Pratt. I don't know. He's just every time he pops up, Magnificent Seven trailer being the perfect example. You put him on screen. He had a little little smirk there, and I was like, cool. I'm just having fun with the guy. Everything he's doing is fun. He's not taking himself too seriously, too. He's on Twitter. He's doing things for charity. I mean, the guy all around is having fun, and I'm digging his stuff. So,
Clarke?
Probably my favorite actress working today, or somebody that I look forward to seeing what she does, is Rose Byrne. I love Rose Byrne. I think she's so talented and can do so many different things, from comedy to drama to whatever else. And in terms of actor, I think I'm probably going to say Sam Rockwell. I think he's so great and does so many different things as well. He works a lot, so it's like, it's not as though it's the one new Sam Rockwell movie. I feel like he's in everything, but one of my favorite performances he gave recently was in Seven Psychopaths. I thought he was so criminally underappreciated.
He always is.
You're right, he is. But I felt like in that movie, like when I watched that performance, it reminded me of Kevin Kline in A Fish Called Wanda. Like it was so mad genius, and I was so disappointed that movie did not get the love I think it should have, even from like the Golden Globes or something like that. But I think specifically Sam Rockwell was just fantastic, so I love him.
All right, and Mike Rose, no, my planet was not destroyed in The Force Awakens because it's close to Coruscant, and Coruscant wasn't touched. So there you go. Can't blow it up that fast. Okay, I'd like to thank the panel today for joining me. First, Classy Clarke, Wolfe, where can they find you?
First, I wanted to say there was a gentleman who stopped me at the Waffle a couple of days ago who watches Collider Video every day. I did not get his name, but hello, gentleman. Thank you for stopping me and saying hello, and thank you for watching the show. And it made my day, so nice to see you. You can find me on the interwebs at Clarke Wolfe, Clarke with an E, Wolfe with an E, and on youtube.com/official Clarke Wolfe.
And Mark Reilly, where can they find you, champ?
You can find me at Reilly Around on Twitter and Instagram, and every Thursday with this guy on the Schmoes Know. And I'm taking on JTE tomorrow. So yeah, check out the movie Trivia Schmoeden. And also sign the petition of me getting my own planet, Reilly, on www.markreilly.com.
And Bazinga Guy's favorite fan, it is Natasha Martinez. Where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at NatashaAlexis_, and on Facebook.com/Natasha Alexis Martinez.
You can find me at Kristian Harloff, both Twitter and Instagram, and Jedi Council, Collider Jedi Council. That is every Thursday. That is today. And then that leads us into the Schmoes Know show. It's live every Thursday night on the Schmoes channel. We go 7 to 9. Very special guests tonight playing a fun game with us, and that will be Sinead DeFries and Ashley Mova are going to be on the show. So make sure you come check that out and join us here every day. We have a lot of cool stuff. Check out TV Talk every Monday. You're not watching TV Talk? You should. You're watching the Schmoedown. You're watching Heroes. All of it. We got all of it. Check it out, and we'll see you here tomorrow.
Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.